She thought she could punish her son for a spilled juice and a crumb on the couch and win in court. But what happens next will make your jaw drop. This is a story about a petty revenge gone terribly wrong, showing how obsession with getting even can backfire in the most humiliating way. You won't believe how a mother's plan to humiliate her child turned into a lesson she never saw coming, one that teaches us all that kindness beats revenge every time. And here's the twist you definitely don't expect: the judge's clever move that exposes her game and leaves her utterly humiliated. If you think petty revenge is harmless, think again. This story will prove otherwise. So before we dive into this shocking story, drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. And hit that like button if you believe in the power of kindness over revenge, because what unfolds here will change how you see petty conflicts forever. Stay tuned. This story is unmissable. It was a happy day. My son Tim was turning 4 years old. The house was full of balloons, cake, and children laughing and playing. Tim was very excited. He ran around opening gifts and smiling at everyone. His eyes shined with happiness. At first, everything was perfect, but then my sister Lisa spilled her juice. A little bit spilled on the floor. It was just a small drop, but Lisa got upset. She wiped it quickly, but she looked worried. Then, Tim accidentally dropped his cookie. Crumbs scattered on the carpet. Some of the cake she brought got a little messy. Lisa looked at me and then at the mess. She frowned. She said, "This ruined my day." I saw her look at the new sofa in the living room. The sofa was soft and comfy, but Lisa pointed to the crease in the cushion. She said, "Look at this. The sofa is ruined now." I felt surprised. She was upset about a small crease in the cushion? I didn't think it was a big deal, but Lisa started to get really angry. She kept saying the crumbs and the spill made her day terrible. I wondered why she was so upset over small things. I hugged Tim and told him to keep playing. I thought about how Lisa was acting, as if everything was the end of the world. Suddenly, I had an idea. Maybe I could teach her a lesson. Maybe I could show her that being angry over small things isn't right. Maybe she would learn that being kind is better than being petty. That day, I decided I would do something different. I would try to fix this problem. I wanted to show Lisa that revenge and anger are not the answer. I looked around and saw some cushions, crumbs, and toilet paper. I picked them up and thought, I will use these to make my plan. I would go to court, I thought. Yes, a real court. I would tell a story about how she was upset, and I would ask for justice. I wanted to show her that being petty and angry is not fair. I knew it was silly, but I felt sure it would help her see how wrong she was. That's how my plan started. And so the day went on. The party was fun, but I kept thinking about how I could teach Lisa a lesson. I wanted her to understand that small problems don't need revenge. Being nice and fair is always better. Later that day, I made my decision. I would take her to court for emotional distress. I thought I could prove she was upset over tiny things. I gathered some funny evidence. I found cushions, a half-eaten cake, and some toilet paper squares. I even counted how many squares of toilet paper she used. I wanted to show her how silly her complaints were. I was going to tell the judge everything. I wanted her to see that revenge over small things only makes things worse. The next day, I arrived at the courtroom. I carried my strange evidence and felt nervous but determined. I wanted to win my case. The courtroom was quiet and serious. The judge sat high on her chair, looking calm and wise. She looked at me and then at my strange evidence. I started to explain. I told about the spilled juice, the crumbs, and the creases in the sofa. I said that Lisa was angry about small things. The judge listened carefully. She asked me questions. She wanted to understand if what I said was fair. Meanwhile, Lisa sat quietly. She looked surprised. I saw her face turn red. Was she starting to realize how petty she was acting? The judge then looked at Lisa and asked, "Are these things really so bad? Are they worth getting upset over?" Lisa looked down. She didn't answer right away. She looked at her cushions and her feelings. Maybe she realized her anger was too much for such small problems. The judge spoke again. Revenge for tiny things is not right. We should be kind and fair, not petty. I watched as the judge made her decision. She told Lisa that her case was not fair. She said, "Revenge over small things hurts everyone." Lisa looked upset. She stood up and left the courtroom slowly. I felt a little happy, but also sad. I wanted her to learn something. The courtroom was quiet. I looked at Tim. He was still smiling and playing happily. Nothing could ruin his happiness. In that moment, I knew that being kind and fair is more important than feeling angry or wanting revenge. That was the first step in a big lesson. Sometimes small problems don't need big fights. Being nice is always better, and I hoped Lisa would see that someday too. I wake up the next morning feeling a little strange. My mind keeps going back to what happened yesterday. The courtroom was quiet, and the judge was so serious. I remember how she looked at the mother, Lisa, and then she said that her case was not fair. I sit by the window and watch the sky. The sun is shining, and everything looks normal. But inside, I feel a little different. I think about how Lisa was so mad about crumbs and cushions. She thought those tiny things were big problems. But now, I see that maybe she was just upset and acting silly. At home, Lisa is not yelling anymore. She is sitting on the couch, holding a cushion. I walk over and sit next to her. I want to say something nice, but I'm not sure what. She looks at me and says, "I was angry yesterday. I thought I needed to get revenge for small things. But now I see maybe I was wrong." Her voice is soft. I feel happy that she understands. I tell her, "It's okay, Lisa. Sometimes grown-ups forget that small things are not so big. What matters most is being kind." Lisa smiles a little. "You are right. I should not be petty. I should be nice, like you." I look at her and say, "Yes, being kind is better. Revenge is heavy. It makes us sad inside." She nods. "I want to try to be better. I want to be gentle and caring. I don't want to hurt anyone over small things." I feel proud. I say, "That's a good idea. We can all learn to be nice, even grown-ups." Outside, the sky is blue and birds are singing. I think about the court and how the judge was so fair. She saw that Lisa's anger was not right. She taught her that being petty only makes us sad. She showed that justice is about being fair and kind. I look at Lisa and I say, "Maybe tomorrow we can do something fun together. We can forget about being angry and just enjoy being a family." Lisa laughs softly. "Yes, I like that. I want to be a better mother. I want to be happy, not angry over small things." I smile. I know that everyone makes mistakes, but the important thing is to learn and try again. I hug Lisa gently. As I go to get ready for the day, I feel warm inside. I am happy because I see that even grown-ups can learn to be nicer, and I know that kindness is a stronger gift than revenge. Later, I go outside to play. My friends are there, laughing and running. I feel happy and safe. I remember what the judge said. Justice is about fairness and kindness, not petty fights. Today, I think everyone can learn to be better, even grown-ups. And I know that being kind makes us all happier. That's what I want everyone to remember, because kindness is always the right choice. I woke up feeling different today. I was still thinking about the court. I remembered how the judge told Lisa that revenge over small things is not fair. I thought maybe I could do better too. I wanted to be kinder and less angry. But first, I had to go to the courtroom again. Not because of Lisa this time, but because I wanted to see what would happen next. I stood outside the big gray building. The doors opened slowly, and I saw the judge sitting high on her bench. She looked calm and wise. She smiled when she saw me. "Hello," I said softly. "I came to see how everything turned out." The judge nodded. "You did a good thing by learning about fairness. You want to see what happens next?" I nodded happily. I felt proud inside. Suddenly, I saw the mother from the last case walking into the courtroom. She was carrying cushions, a half-eaten piece of cake, and a box of toilet paper squares. She looked serious, but also a little nervous. I wondered what she was doing. She sat down and looked around. She took out her cushions and placed them on the chair. She opened her cake and pretended to look very upset. "I have more proof," she said loudly. "Look at this cushion. It's all wrinkled because of the kids. And this cake? It's ruined because someone spilled juice." She pulled out a small bag of toilet paper squares. "And I counted all these squares because I think someone used too much toilet paper at my house. All these things prove I was hurt." I looked at her. She seemed very serious. But I thought, this is silly. It's just small stuff. The judge looked at her calmly. "Tell me," she asked, "do you really think that cushions, crumbs, and toilet paper squares are enough to make a big case?" The mother nodded confidently. "Yes, because these things made me upset. I want to be paid for all the trouble." The judge shook her head gently. "But these are small things. They are not enough to hurt someone enough to go to court. Revenge over small problems is not right." The courtroom was quiet. I saw some people whispering and smiling. They knew this was a funny case. The mother looked confused. She tried to explain, but her words were not strong enough. She kept talking about her cushions and cake, but no one believed her. The judge looked at her kindly but firmly. "In this case, there is no real proof that anyone hurt you on purpose or caused you real pain. You were upset over small things, and that is not fair. Revenge is not the answer." The mother looked down. She seemed a little sad, but she also looked like she understood. Maybe she was starting to see that her petty anger was not right. After a moment, the judge said, "Case dismissed. You do not deserve money for these small problems. It is better to talk and understand each other, not to fight over tiny things." Everyone clapped quietly. I felt happy. I watched the mother pack her cushions and cake. She looked embarrassed, but also a little lighter. She was learning that revenge and petty anger only make problems bigger. As I walked out of the courtroom, I felt glad. I thought about how being kind and fair is better than fighting over small stuff. The judge was right. Justice is not about hurting others or getting revenge. Justice is about being fair and kind. I looked at my friends playing outside. They were laughing and having fun. I knew now that happiness is not about getting even or being angry. It's about being kind and understanding. That day, I learned a big lesson. It's better to be gentle and fair than to fight over tiny problems, because real happiness comes from kindness, not revenge. And I promised myself to remember that. I want to be a good person, no matter what happens. The best way to win is to be kind and fair, always. I sat quietly in the courtroom. My heart felt a little sad, but also hopeful. I looked around at the people there. The judge was sitting high on her chair. She looked very calm and wise. I thought she was like a kind teacher, but for everyone in the room. The mother was sitting at her table. She looked tired and a little worried. She had brought cushions, a half-eaten piece of cake, and a roll of toilet paper. She kept arranging her things very carefully. I wondered why she brought those. It looked strange. The judge looked at her and then at the mother's strange things. She asked softly, "Why did you bring these?" The mother stood up straight. She pointed at her cushions and said, "These cushions are very special. They are proof I was hurt. See, they are soft, but they got ruined when my son spilled juice on them." The judge nodded politely. She turned to the mother and asked, "And what about the cake? Why do you have that?" The mother held up the cake piece. "This is important. My son took a big bite and made a mess. It shows how my day was spoiled." The judge looked at the half-eaten cake and then at the cushions. She said gently, "I see you believe these things show you were hurt. But tell me, do you think spilling juice or crumbs really hurts you? Are these small things enough to ask for so much?" The mother looked surprised. She hesitated. She wanted to say she was very upset, but she paused. Then the judge asked, "Is it fair to ask for money over small spills and crumbs? Do these things really cause real pain?" The mother looked down and fidgeted. She didn't answer right away. The courtroom was quiet. The people watching looked at her. They thought about what the judge said. I thought about how small the problems really were. The judge smiled kindly and said, "Revenge over tiny things is not fair. It is better to be kind and patient. Small problems happen, but they don't need to make us angry or want to punish." I felt happy listening to her words. I knew she was right. Revenge over small things doesn't help. It only makes everyone sad. The mother sat down slowly. She looked a little sad, but also like she was thinking. She seemed to understand that maybe her way of acting was not the best. The judge looked at everyone and said, "Remember, we all make small mistakes. It's better to forgive and be kind. That is how we stay happy and fair." The courtroom was quiet again. Everyone looked at each other and nodded. I saw some smiles. I knew that the judge had just given us a very important lesson. As I left the courtroom, I felt glad. I thought about how being kind and fair is a better way than getting angry over small things. I looked at the mother. She didn't look angry anymore. Maybe she was starting to see that revenge is not the right answer. I walked out with a big smile. I knew that even if someone does something small that makes me sad, I should choose kindness instead of revenge. That is how we can all be happier. And I hope the mother learns that too. I sit quietly in my small room, thinking about what just happened in court. The judge was very kind and fair. She listened carefully to everything. When she told Lisa, the mother, that her case was not fair, I saw her get very quiet. Her face looked surprised and a little sad. Lisa had tried so hard to make her case. She brought cushions, cake crumbs, and even counted toilet paper squares. She thought that if she showed enough silly things, she would win. But the judge saw right through her. She knew Lisa was upset over small things, and revenge over tiny problems is not right. Now Lisa is at home, sitting on her couch. She looks at the cushions and the crumbs she kept as evidence. She sighs deeply. I see her staring at her hands. I wonder what she is feeling inside. I walk closer and say softly, "Miss Lisa, are you okay?" She looks up and says, "I guess I was being too petty. I wanted to punish everyone for little mistakes. But I see now that it is not fair. I was angry over small things, and that made me act silly." I nod. It's good to understand. Sometimes adults forget that kindness is better than revenge. That's why the judge was so wise. She smiles a little and says, "You are right. I thought if I showed enough evidence, I could win. But I see that winning isn't important. Being kind and fair is what really matters." I feel happy hearing her say that. I also think about my birthday party. It was full of happy children, cake, and fun. Nothing was perfect, but everyone was kind. That's what made it special. Lisa looks at me and says, "I want to change. I don't want to be petty anymore. I want to be a better mother and a better person." I tell her, that's a good start. Sometimes it's hard to stop being angry, but trying to be kind is always the right choice. She nods again and stands up. "Thank you for helping me see what is more important. I will try to be kinder from now on." I smile and say, that's what matters most. When we are kind, everyone feels happy. Revenge only makes us sad. As she leaves her house, I watch her walk slowly. I hope she keeps her promise to be nicer. I know that everyone makes mistakes, but what is important is to learn and try to be better. I turn back to my room, feeling peaceful. I think about the lesson we all learned today. Revenge over small things is silly and only hurts us. True happiness comes from being kind and fair. I look out the window and see the sun shining. The world is still a good place, even if some grown-ups forget sometimes. I know that being kind is the best way to keep the world bright and happy. And I think to myself, maybe Lisa will be kinder now. Maybe she will see that love and kindness are stronger than petty revenge. That's the story of today, and I feel hopeful, because I believe that everyone can learn to be good if they try. And I will always try to be kind, no matter what. I woke up feeling a little different today. After the court case yesterday, something inside me was changing. I still felt proud of how the judge had said that revenge over small things is wrong. But I also felt a bit worried. I wondered if I had really learned the lesson. My mom was in the kitchen making breakfast. I went to sit with her. She looked at me and smiled softly. "Are you okay, honey?" she asked. I nodded. "Yes, I think so. I'm glad the judge told your story. I don't want to be mean or petty anymore." She looked surprised. "That's good to hear. Sometimes we get upset over small things, but being kind is always better." I felt happy hearing that. I wanted to do better. I wanted to be kind, like the judge said. Later that day, I saw my mom sitting on the couch. She was holding some cushions and a torn piece of paper. She looked thoughtful. I sat next to her. "Mom, what are you doing?" She smiled a little. "I'm thinking about what happened at the court. I see now that trying to get revenge over tiny problems makes me feel worse, not better." I looked at the cushions. They were fluffy and soft. "You look sad, Mom." She nodded. "Yes, I am. I used to think that if I made trouble for others, I'd feel better. But I see now that it only made me feel more alone." I thought about the judge's words. She told my mom that kindness is stronger than revenge. I wanted to help. "Can I help you, Mom?" I asked. She smiled. "Yes, sweetheart. Let's clean the house together. We can fix what's broken and throw away what's old." We got some cloths and started to wipe tables and tidy up. We picked up crumbs and put cushions back on the couch. It felt nice working together. While we cleaned, my mom said, "I want to be a better mommy. I want you and your sister to be happy. I'm sorry if I acted mean." That made me feel warm inside. I hugged her. "That's okay, Mom. I want us to be happy too." Later, my sister Lisa came into the room. She looked sad. "I felt bad about being petty," she said softly. "I shouldn't have argued over crumbs." I looked at her and nodded. "It's okay, Lisa. We all make mistakes. The important thing is to be kind now." Lisa smiled a little. "I want to be nice from now on." We all sat down together. I thought about what I learned. Revenge over small things only makes everyone unhappy. Being kind and caring makes us happy. That afternoon, my mom threw away the torn paper and put the cushions in the right place. She said, "Today, I want to start fresh. I will try to be kind even if I feel upset." I smiled. "That's a good idea, Mom." The day went on happily. We played games and laughed. I knew that the best way to feel good was to be nice to others, not to get revenge over tiny problems. At night, I lay in bed and thought about the courtroom. I remembered how the judge said that justice is about fairness and kindness. I decided I would remember that. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. Tomorrow is a new day. I want to be kind no matter what happens. And I knew that kindness is the best way to be truly happy. I wake up feeling a little different today. It is quiet in the house. I look around and see that my mom is not arguing or upset. She is sitting on the couch, looking at her hands. I walk over and ask, "Mom, are you okay?" She looks at me and smiles softly. "Yes, Tim, I am trying to be better," she says. "I am trying to be kind now." I feel happy hearing that. I like my mom to smile and not yell. I hug her gently. Later, we go outside. The sun is shining. I run and play, just like always. It feels good. My mom watches me and laughs. She looks peaceful now. But I wonder what will happen today. Will she still remember the court? Will she still think about revenge? Suddenly, there is a knock at the door. It is the judge. She is coming to visit. I have seen her before in the court. She is very calm and wise. She comes inside and smiles at us. "Hello, everyone," she says. "I heard you are trying to be kind now." "That is good." My mom nods. "Yes, Your Honor. I want to change. I don't want to be petty anymore." The judge nods back. "That is very brave. Sometimes it is hard to stop being angry, but kindness is stronger than revenge." She looks at me and says, "Tim, you are very brave. You always stay happy and kind. You show us how to be good." I feel proud. I say, "Thank you, Your Honor. I just want everyone to be happy." The judge smiles and says, "That is the best thing of all." Then she takes out a small bag. She gives it to my mom. "This is a gift," she says. "It is for your new journey, to remind you that kindness is the real strength." My mom opens the bag and sees a shiny stone. It is bright and beautiful. She smiles and holds it in her hand. "I will remember," she says softly. "Kindness is stronger than revenge." We all hug. I feel warm inside. I know that today is a new day, a day to be kind, to forgive, and to be happy. The judge waves goodbye and leaves. My mom looks at me and says, "Thank you, Tim. You taught me something very important." I smile big. We can all learn to be better. Just start with a smile. And that is what I do. I smile and run back to play because I know that being kind makes everyone happy. Today, I learned that revenge is not the answer. Being kind is much stronger, and that makes me happy inside. I woke up feeling quiet and thoughtful. It was a new day, and I was trying to be better. Sometimes I still remembered the trouble from the court case, but I wanted to keep going on the right path. I thought about my mom, Lisa. I knew she was trying to change too. I hoped we could both be kinder. Today, I decided to do something special. I wanted to show my mom that I believed in her good heart. I went to find her in the living room. She was sitting on the couch, holding a small shiny stone. I sat next to her and said, "Mom, I am glad you want to be kind. I believe you can do it." She looked at me with a small smile. "Thank you," she said. "It's not easy to change, but I want to try." I reached out and took her hand gently. "We can help each other," I said. "Being kind makes everyone happy." She nodded and looked at the shiny stone. "This is a gift from the judge," she explained. "It reminds me to be fair and kind." I looked at her and felt warm inside. I knew she was serious about changing. I smiled and said, "Let's try to be nice today. Let's forget about small problems and just have fun." Later, I saw my mom helping to clean up after breakfast. She picked up a crumpled napkin and put it in the trash. She smiled at me, and I smiled back. My little brother Tim was playing nearby. He was laughing and running around. He was happy, just like always. I thought about how important it was for everyone to be happy and kind. That afternoon, we went outside to play. I ran and jumped in the yard. Tim threw a ball to me. We played catch and laughed. My mom watched us and sat on a bench, smiling. She looked at us and said, "I want to be a good mom. I want to show you how to be kind and caring." I nodded happily. That's the best thing. We all make mistakes, but we can learn and be better. As the sun set, I felt proud. I knew that everyone can change if they want to. Being kind is stronger than being angry. I learned that from the court case, and now I saw it again in my family. That night, we all sat together and read a story. It was about a kind girl who helped others and made everyone smile. I closed my eyes and thought, maybe tomorrow will be a better day. Maybe we can all be kinder. And I knew deep inside that kindness makes us strong. It makes our hearts happy, and it can help us turn mistakes into good lessons. That's what I learned today, that even grown-ups can learn to be better. And with a little hope and kindness, everyone can change for the good. I wake up feeling a little different today. It is morning, and I think about what happened at the court. I know I made some mistakes, and I want to do better. I stand by the window and watch the sky. The sun is shining, and I take a deep breath. I want to be kind, not petty. I want to be a good mother. I walk into the kitchen to make breakfast. My son Tim is sitting at the table. He is smiling and playing with his toy cars. He looks happy and carefree. I smile back at him. He doesn't know about the court or the things I said. He just wants to have fun. I sit down next to him. I hold his small hand and say, "Tim, I am sorry for being so angry before. I want to be a better mother. I want us to be happy and kind to each other." He looks up at me with big, bright eyes. He nods and says, "I love you, Mom." That makes me feel warm inside. I hug him gently. I think about how important it is to be kind, not just today, but every day. I remember what the judge said in court. The judge said that fairness and kindness are stronger than revenge. I want to remember that. After breakfast, I decide to help clean up the house. I pick up cushions and wipe the table. I see some crumbs on the floor. I sweep them up and throw them away. I think about how small messes can be fixed. They are not worth getting upset about. Then I go outside with Tim. We play in the yard. We run, laugh, and play with his toys. I see how happy he is. I realize that making him smile and feeling loved is what really matters. All the petty worries and fights are just small clouds in a big sky. Later, I sit on the porch with Tim. I say, from now on, I want to be kind. I want to listen and understand. I want us to have fun and be happy. Tim claps his hands and says, "Yay! We will be friends forever." I feel a big weight lift from my heart. I know I still have to work on myself. But today, I want to start fresh. I want to leave behind my anger and petty pokes. I want to be gentle and caring. That afternoon, I call my friends and neighbors. I tell them I am sorry if I was mean or angry. I say I want to be nicer. I want to share love, not fights. Everyone listens and smiles. They say it is a good choice. As the day ends, I sit with my son and think about what I learned. Revenge and anger only hurt me, but kindness and forgiveness make me strong. When I choose to be kind, I feel happy inside. I know that I can be better. Tonight, I put Tim to bed. I kiss his forehead and say, "Good night, my sweet boy. I love you so much." He smiles and whispers, "Good night, Mommy." I turn off the light and leave the room. I feel peaceful and hopeful. Tomorrow is a new day. I will try to be patient, kind, and fair. I will remember that love is the most important thing. Revenge will never make me happy. Only kindness and respect will. As I walk to my own bed, I think about all that happened. I know I made mistakes, but I am also learning. I want to be someone who cares, not someone who fights. I want my family to be happy and full of love. Today was a big step for me. I am glad I started to change. I will keep trying every day, because I see now that being kind is stronger than revenge, and that makes me smile. It was a quiet morning in the courtroom. I sat with my mother, Lisa, and watched as the judge walked in. She was calm and wise, her eyes kind but serious. Today was the day she would help everyone see what is truly fair and kind. My mother looked a little nervous. She had been feeling sad about the fight she started. She wanted to change. She wanted to be better. I held her hand and smiled softly. I knew she was trying. The judge sat at her big desk and looked at us. "Today, we will talk about what is fair and what is not," she said. "Sometimes, people get upset over small things, but being kind is the real answer." My mother took a deep breath. She looked at the judge and nodded. Then, the judge spoke to her kindly. "Lisa, I see that you have been very upset about your son's birthday. You brought some strange things to show that you were hurt. But I want to tell you something important. Revenge over small problems only makes everyone sad. It does not help." My mother looked down a little. I saw her shoulders fall. She realized that she had been angry over tiny things like crumbs, cushions, and even creases in the sofa. She had tried to make everyone pay by taking her petty complaints to court. The judge continued, "True strength is showing kindness, even when you are upset. When we forgive and forget, we feel happier inside. Revenge only makes us feel worse." I looked at my mother. She seemed to understand now. She looked up and said softly, "I am sorry. I was angry over small things, and I wanted to hurt others. But I see now that being kind is better." The courtroom was quiet. The people watching nodded. They agreed with the judge and me. I felt happy because I knew my mother was learning something very important. The judge smiled and said, "Lisa, today you have learned that kindness is stronger than revenge. When you are kind, you help everyone feel better. That is true justice." My mother nodded again. She looked at me and gave me a small hug. I knew she was changing. She was starting to see that love and kindness are the real treasures. After the court was over, my mother took me by the hand. We walked outside into the sunshine. She looked at me and said, "I want to be a better person. I want to be kind, no matter what happens." I smiled and said, "That is the best thing you can do, Mom. Kindness makes everyone happy." From that day, my mother tried very hard to be kind. She helped clean up after the party. She said sorry to people she had upset. She talked more gently and listened more carefully. I was happy because I saw her change. I knew that revenge over small things was silly. What really matters is love, kindness, and being fair to everyone. That day in court was not just about me or my mother. It was a lesson for everyone. It showed us that being nice is the strongest thing of all. Revenge might seem easy, but kindness lasts forever. And so, everyone left the courtroom, feeling lighter and happier. My mother smiled, and I felt proud. We knew we had learned something very important, that being kind is the best way to live. The sun was shining bright as we walked home. I looked at my mother and said, "From now on, I want us to always be kind, no matter what." She nodded and gave me a big hug. Yes, being kind is the real justice, and I was happy that everyone understood it today.